What even happened to the time? And because I'm probably going to be here rambling for a little while, let's turn on the DVD stream playlist. Is what I shall do. And we can listen to that. Wait, is that what this tab is? Oh, it is. Let's just put that on shuffle. Because otherwise, we're just going to be listening to the same theme over and over again. As much as I love Peekabada's themes, I'm actually going to go with this Sensing Kantian one. Is what I'm going to do. And I'm going to mute the game here. Like this. Because I have a decent few things I want to say about this game. Let's decrease the volume there a little bit. Just drove for 6 hours without realizing. Only felt like 3 hours. Time flies when you're having fun. And all that. Anyway. I typically in any playthrough give a full review during the credits. After it's like I've beaten the game and now I have a lot of thoughts to share on it. But I didn't have any chance during these credits because there was like character epilogues that I had to pay attention to. So I couldn't quite express my thoughts there. So now I'd like to express my thoughts and give like a quick full review of this game. I guess I could always do it after doing like the side quests and stuff after the words for post game, but I feel like I have a pretty good sense of this game at this point. So first of all, the story, how about, since that's what I was talking about before. It very much gave me the vibes of Fire Emblem 1/Shadow Dragon Marth's story, where it's like, oh no, the bad guys came and took over the kingdom. The prince, he flees to a distant place and then he trains up over the years. And one day when he's ready, he comes back to liberate the place that he once called home and bring peace to the land. And that's the general premise of the story. And it's like, okay, yeah, I've seen that general premise before. I do wonder if there was some Fire Emblem inspiration taken from that, considering I see other Fire Emblem inspiration in this game, if that's what's going on there. And then when it was like, oh, the bad guy's taking control because he's mind controlling everybody, and that's why all the people that used to serve your kingdom are serving him, and you can undo the brainwashing and then bring them to your side. And I was just kind of like, okay, that seems like pretty typical and pretty bland and boring for a little while. It did get more interesting as it went on, though. I really like the twist that it wasn't mind control, that it was literally putting in the souls of someone from their old kingdom into that person's body, and they were assuming control. So it wasn't mind control. There was still a person in there, just a different person. And it's like, oh, that's kind of a cool twist. I like that. So that was an interesting way to mix up the more typical way that I thought it was going. It feels like a lot of the general backstory was saved for right at the end, though. Like, I didn't really get the main villain's motivation apart from just being evil and taking over everything until right towards the end. And even then, I didn't quite fully get it, because I'm gonna be honest, I wasn't paying 100% attention during the lore exposition cutscenes, and I was also grabbing a snack quick during some of them because I started getting really hungry. Because while I'll talk about this when I get to like the art style, while I do generally love the look of this game and think that it's super charming, like, look at these characters. Like, it's a super charming and visually appealing game. I love it. But in cutscenes where characters are chatting in a 2D plane, usually the backgrounds are like really beautiful and the characters are emoting in expressive enough ways that as long as the cutscene doesn't drag on too much, it's usually enough to keep me engaged. But in these sanctuaries, where all the lore exposition was saved until the end, where the characters are just standing still while this great sage from above is imparting this lore, dropping all this lore on us, and there's literally nothing changing visually in the cutscene, it was just so visually boring that I couldn't find myself paying 100% attention, I'm gonna be honest. So when I eventually go cut this up in post, I might rewatch some of that and see kind of what was going on. I do kind of like the twist stuff that was going on with the unicorn that I am gonna have to pay more attention to when I go and rewatch stuff. I still think that it's such a stupid name for a video game, Unicorn Overlord. It makes the game sound so lame, even though the game's actually really cool. The twist where it's like, oh yeah, the unicorn was kind of executed to use as a weapon, and it kind of decimated the Zenoiran people. And then the god attack that the final boss was using, summoning this big skeleton unicorn, it's like, okay, that's kind of cool, I'm not gonna lie. I quite like that. But yeah, I did not understand all of the lore at points in this, but I will try to pay more attention next time. I do wish that some of the cutscenes could be a little bit more visually appealing in that sense, so that I would be more engaged to actually understand what the hell is going on. But all in all, the story was like, it's interesting-ish. It's not a game that's going to get carried by its story. It's not a game I'd ever recommend for story reasons. But it's not as typical as you'd think it would be. It has some interesting things going on, and some of the rapport conversations are really good. It's like Fire Emblem Fates in that some of its best storytelling parts are just in the characters talking to each other and the support conversations. So I like some of the interesting ideas, but it was an alright story. It wasn't anything to write home about, but it was intriguing, I will say. Since I started talking about it a little bit already, I can segue into the art style and graphics. The overworld, I think, is okay with the little chibi sprites, but in battle and during cutscenes, that's what I really, really like. Like, if I go to some other characters here, like the 2D arts of all the characters that's used in battles, in cutscenes, and all that stuff there, it's really clean and really visually appealing. I really like this art style. It has a lot of charm. And even though I could skip battles and make the game go through faster, like I often do as I get like deeper into Fire Emblem games, I kept on not wanting to skip battles in this game just because it's so flashy and visually appealing and pretty and nice. So, like, I very, very much like the art style of this game. The only complaints are the overworld isn't the most visually appealing with like the chibi arts, I personally feel like maybe I'm just a weirdo for saying that, but there's that. And if a cutscene is dragging on for a really long time and there isn't much visually interesting going on, like just these short scenes of characters talking to one another for like a minute with like a really beautiful background and emoting in different ways, it's like, okay, that can keep me engaged. But several minutes of nothing changing visually while lore is being dumped, I can't stay engaged with that. I need visual engagement too to make me care more. So there were some complaints there. But for the most part, it was a really visually appealing game. It was really clean. Yeah, like, there was a lot of interesting stuff that was being dumped and a lot of stuff at the end that is supposed to make you go, whoa, that's what was happening? But I could not pay attention to it for the life of me, I'm gonna be honest. I'll rewatch it when I'm cutting this up, is what I'll definitely do. But for the most part, it was really, really visually appealing. I love the character sprites, I love the animations. It's really fun. Though, the character designs I find interesting. Like, the amount of effort that goes into pretty much every character is really, really good. But the design was odd at points, I will say. This kind of ties a little bit into the gameplay part that I wanted to mention. But in this game, to get the true ending, you have to unlock the power of the Ring of the Unicorn by giving the Ring of the Maiden to somebody. And it can be anybody in the army, but it's only if you give it to one of the female characters that they become like the queen alongside the king here. And if you give it to any of the male characters, it's like, oh, you're just really good friends. This ring just symbolizes your endless friendship and how close you are. And it's like, really? And the fact that this is a game where this music is a little bit louder than I thought it was. Sorry, Rush Garcia, I'm going to turn it down just a little bit here, like that, as we're getting Fire Emblem music. But the fact that this is a game where you literally have to get hitched to get the true ending, and you're forced to play as a male character. It's not one of those games that gives you an option at the beginning of like, which of the two would you like to play? And you only, like, really are alongside someone if you choose one of the female characters, and you're only good friends if you give it to any of the male characters. It just feels very odd. Like, the target audience of this game was clearly very much straight men, is very much what it seems like. If you don't fit within that specific niche, it's probably gonna feel really weird. It even feels kind of weird for me playing in a game where it's like, that is so obviously the focus, and it's like, really? When you're playing as like a character that you're probably supposed to abstract yourself onto, you're really not given all that much choice on what his preferences are. I don't know. I wish it wasn't quite like that. Real Unicorn Overlord was the friends you made along the way. Yeah, and I could give the Ring of the Maiden to someone and just have them be really close friends. But also playing into that with the character designs. Like, the general sprites and designs are really good, but some of the female characters in this game, I swear, especially with like some of the physics where it's like, what the heck were the designers smoking? And some of the female characters don't have that. Some are just like, yep, that looks like reasonable armor to be wearing in battle as like a foot soldier. They're so dang bouncy. Like, it's basically like 50-50 with the female characters. I swear. Like, some of them are dressed like pretty normally. Others are like that. And pretty much all the male characters are just pretty normally. I don't think there's much in the way of sexualized male characters. Be staring no better than a man. Like, I guess you could make an argument for something like that, but it's mostly the female characters. Like, where's... Not Fran, where's the other one? Celeste, I think, is her name. Why the heck did I get Celeste? Fran. Celeste would have been... Oh, way here. Where it's like... What the heck even? It's so odd. And again, some female characters are just not, where it's like, yeah, that seems relatively reasonable. I mean, considering she comes from a cold climate, maybe not. Like, you would think that you wouldn't want all that much exposed skin at all in a cold climate, but I mean, good googly boogly. I mean, what do I know? I think the biggest example of, like, comparison is the Elven Fencer type. There's one male Elven Fencer that you can recruit and one female Elven Fencer that you can recruit. This is the male one, and this is the female one, where it's like, really? Really? They are the exact same class. Their kit is exactly the same. And yet, this is what the game does here. So, yeah, some of the character designs are certainly something, I will say. And this game is very, very clearly intended for straight males. That's the target audience here, I would imagine. Considering you play as a dude, and you want the true ending, get hitched to somebody. And there's all sorts of jiggle physics everywhere that the devs probably want players to be able to choose from. I mean, I turned down the canonical option here. We ended up going with Berengaria. Can't go wrong with that. So, yeah, the general sprites and designs are, like, very high quality. And, like, I love the effects, like the wind and stuff like that on things like capes. The designs are really, really good. But, man, did they go over the top in some of the designs in a way that makes it feel kind of awkward to play. Like, this is the kind of game that I would not want to be playing that much of at a LAN event like Fragapalooza. As someone comes over and is like, oh, what are you playing? What the heck are you playing? You know, it's one of those kinds of games, honestly. But yeah, biggest pet peeve is when games make the female characters sound literally borderline moans. Yeah, this game luckily didn't do that. But the designs definitely played into some conventions, let's just say. Not everyone was created equal. And, like, it's so odd. With the female characters, about half of them are dressed, like, pretty normally, and half of them are just, like, so dang over the top. Like, look at this. This looks very extremely normal. Like, but some just very much aren't. And it feels very odd. And when it comes to Elven Fencers, Athelion for the win. This guy was one of my favorite characters in this game. He was actually really cool. So yeah, that's with the art style and the gameplay-wise. I would have much preferred in a game like this that it was something like, at the beginning of the game, you choose whether you play as the male or female protagonist, and no matter who you choose to give the Ring of the Maiden to, like, it's a super close connection, like, you're totally getting hitched. It's not just best friends because, like, apparently the land of Cornea here doesn't know what it means to be gay. I do wish for that difference. And if you're gonna sexualize half the female cast, then sexualize half the male cast too. Like, come on, let's get equality out here. Half are badass, the other half are all ass. Yep, that's how it goes there. So that was one kind of oddity of this game, I will say. There's a lot to talk about with the gameplay. I guess I can talk about the music a little bit. The music of this game, it was pretty good, but not like a masterpiece, I will say. I generally liked it, but if you told me to hum out like one of the battle themes, I probably wouldn't know it. Like, there was never anything that was like super iconic and memorable. The theme right during the final boss, that was pretty cool. I did quite like that. And the use of some of the leitmotifs that would be present in different parts of the game. I did like that. So the soundtrack did do some pretty cool themes and some cool things, and some of the themes, sorry, were pretty nice, but it wasn't like a masterpiece of a soundtrack that I'm gonna be listening to like for months to come after playing the game. It's not one of those, but it was pretty all right. But yeah, for real, we're the insanely buff, shirtless, tatted men. I mean, I guess that there's Bruno. I keep opening the wrong menu, character list. Like, we have that. He doesn't have any tats or anything. Who would be the most sexualized male character in this game, I wonder? Wonder. Would it be, anyway? Morard, maybe? The lion dude? Live-action Lion King there? I don't know. Definitely Morden. Oh yeah, there's another interesting difference. The exact same class of Breaker, these are the male characters, and these are the female characters. Like, it's so funny comparing them, honestly. I don't know. Maybe it would be Bruno slash Morard there. All the male characters consistently wear, like, all their clothes. Like, it's basically just Bruno and Morard that don't. Pretty much here. But yeah, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet made both professors hear me out, at least. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet made both the professors so hot. And I won't hear any slander any other way. For all people called it Pokemon mommy issues and Pokemon daddy issues when the professors were first leaked, it was hilarious. And I saw everyone calling Professor Turo Gordon from Half-Life 2, or whatever it was that people were calling him, which I thought was, like, incredibly funny. Because, yeah, he did basically look like that. I thought that was pretty good. Yeah, at least we got, like, equality with Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I will definitely give that game that. Why couldn't we have gotten something like that with this game? Like, what the heck is up with that? Yeah, there wasn't really a massive ton to say about the soundtrack. So I think it's mostly just the gameplay now. I wasn't entirely 100% sure what to expect going into this game. I just saw, hey, I really like strategy games, and this is another strategy game about ordering characters around a battlefield in a tactical way. And the art style is really cool. When I saw it in trailers, I was like, whoa, this game looks clean. That looks like something I'd very much like to play, even though I didn't really know much about it. And I picked it up, still not knowing a massive ton about it, and not entirely sure what to expect. And it was a little bit of a surprise to me that it's squad-based. So if I'm playing a game like Fire Emblem, that's going to be sending a single character around a battlefield. Or in some of the Fire Emblem games, like pair-ups, so you get like 2 units together that go around in the battlefield. And you can try to strategize for like who's going together. And this game, it starts out with you ordering single units around the battlefield. Each of these units only has 1 person. Then as you play, you unlock the capacity size 2, and then 3, then 4, and then eventually 5, maxing it out. And you have to strategize with what 5 characters are you putting together? What skills of theirs will be able to benefit one another? Or potentially be able to help out with, like, other characters' weaknesses, like low stats. Like, maybe someone's really weak to magic, so you put someone in here that has, like, a magic shield or something like that. You decide who's going to be on the front lines and be eating, like, the most hits, who's going to be on the back lines and mostly there for support. The back lines can still be attacked by certain attacks. Are you going to have someone that's going to be able to cover them in some way, like Elaine can do here with Luminous Cover? Like, what are you going to do here? And it really pushed my strategic thinking way more than I've felt with Fire Emblem in a long, long time. And I swear, anytime I recruited a new character in the main playthrough and I wanted to factor them into my builds in some way, I could easily just take like an hour or two to just like take everybody out of all their squads and rearrange everybody now that I factor in like the new unit that I just got, which maybe I will have to do now that I got someone new and I messed up some of my builds at the end because I had to make my god squad to beat the final boss or else I was screwed. Was kind of the case. I really, really like the strategy behind it. And one of the things I really liked about it was that there was basically nothing that wouldn't have counterplay. There was always a counter to pretty much everything you could try. Like, this squad was ridiculously OP, for example, where it's like, she's going to be able to act first because quick cast activates at the start of battle, grants user max initiative for their next action. So she's going to be able to cast a spell immediately when battle starts. It doesn't matter on anybody else's initiative. A spell is coming out. Then starts charging up this attack that's going to hit everybody 3 times for full damage of 100. But we have to charge it up and take an extra turn. Nope, get pranked. We're just going to get that charge immediately with support from this. And then he's going to have his magic to boost her magic by 50%. And then she's just going to immediately wreck everything before they can even act. Like, that sounds like the kind of thing that there wouldn't be any counterplay. But if I went up against a character that had an effect like Dispel, that hastened action that allows an ally to act again, that could just be dispelled, like, immediately. And then I'm just stuck here charging, and everyone else here that's just supposed to be support for that charge just gets wrecked by the enemies that are now able to clean me up because my whole hitting them with magic before they can act isn't working anymore. So there's always a counter for something. You can't just make, like, a singular squad and wreck most of the game with it. My crazy Cavalier squad that I had in this squad was the closest thing that I had to that. That was my most consistently good squad. But if I was going up against, like, a full squad of enemy flyers, I would be getting pretty wrecked considering flyers' extra damage that they're getting to cavalry. Yeah, 2 times physical damage versus cavalry. So if I went up against a bunch of flyers, sometimes I could maybe still win just because, like, I made that squad really, really good. But not always. And sometimes I would lose Gloucester. A decent bit of the time, actually. So I really liked how everything could be counterable. You can't just make, like, one god squad and wreck everything. And the whole stamina system played into that as well. The fact that you only have so much stamina, and it'll change depending on the leader. Like, here's 6 stamina, here's 5 stamina, but I get, like, a lot more movement speed. I'm gonna zoom across the map a whole lot faster because I'm a cavalier, if you're the leader. Where it's like, every time you battle, a stamina point is used up. And you're not going to get more stamina points back until you take time to rest, where you're completely vulnerable and you can just get wrecked. Or you capture objectives and then get a couple stamina points that way, or use campfires. And if you're out of stamina, you're just stuck sitting there. You can at least defend yourself, but once you decide to rest, you're just defenseless until the rest is done. So if you use just one singular squad, they eventually have to take a break. Like, they only have so much stamina. And the whole different party leaders and stuff here about, like, do I want more stamina? Do I want more mobility? Do I want the leader effect? What do I want here? Do I want to be able to provide assists where I can spend one of my own stamina points to provide an assist in someone else's combat? Like, the use of stamina was actually really, really cool. And this game very much was designed in a way to not allow you to just make one squad and just annihilate everything. And I really liked that. So I had to make as many good squads as I could here. I tried my best to make as many good squads as I could. I really quite liked that. I liked the way that Valor points worked, where it's like, as you take out foes, then you get more Valor points, and you can summon more of your squads, or you can use it for different Valor skill attacks. I felt that I wasn't doing this as often as I feel like the devs probably intended, and I really, really wish that you could use these right as a battle was starting. Like, the moment that one of your squads and one of your foes' squads come into contact, a battle is happening no matter what. You can rearrange your squad as you see fit before the battle starts. You can use items before the battle as you see fit to change the odds, but you can't use these before the battle. Like, there's nothing stopping you from just the moment before they contact one another. You use one of these that'll change the tide of battle. But the moment they contact, you just can't use these anymore. So I wasn't a big fan of that. I wish that you could still use those, because there are absolutely Valor skills that I would use to turn the tides of battle that I just couldn't do sometimes. The tactics system was one of my favorite things about this game, I will also say here. I come from a background in programming, since I studied game design at university. So, this is basically like very simple programming here. This is a bunch of if statements. The fact that you can set priority of things like, hey, do this first and foremost. But, like, do this first and foremost if the target has less than 75% HP. If that condition isn't met, then oh, let's go for Elemental Roar if we have that much AP. But only if there's 3 or more enemies, and do it on the 3rd action, like wait until the battle's been going on for a decent while so that you build up your power before you go for that. Otherwise, if you have passive points that can use restoring, then go ahead and do this, and then it grants you an extra passive point anyway. And just target the person with the lowest magic defense, since we're hitting with 100 magic potency, and that's who we're probably going to do the most damage to. The fact that you can set up conditions among so many different things, that's really, really cool. but it makes me want that. It makes me wish that it was a whole lot better. The fact that I can only fit like 8 conditions across all the things that I want to write for my active skills and my passive skills, I often would not have enough space to do all the things I want to do. So many of these are completely filled or getting extremely close. Like, I can't even fit all of the Elaine conditions that I want at this point because I wanted to have another lean edge at the end here. Just like as the last condition. I can take off Astral Blade now since I think that only plays into the final boss. So I can put in my lean edge here and go for the person with the lowest HP. Like, if my own HP is low and I need to heal, then go for the person with the lowest HP and try to heal myself off of that. Like, if I'm really in a bind. If I'm not in a bind, try to spinning edge a row that has 2 or more people. If there isn't a row with 2 or more people, then try to cavalry slayer someone that is cavalry. If none of those conditions are met, then just use lean edge and go for the person with the lowest HP to try to kill them. Like, the fact that you can set that stuff up is really, really cool. But the fact that there's only 2 conditions that you can set, there were several situations where I would want someone to only do a certain thing, but on like 3 conditions being met, not just 2. But I'm just out of luck if I want to program them to do that. And if you want someone specific to be targeted, the game wasn't very good at that. Like, take for example, oh, I took out my cap squad here. What's a squad that it would sometimes be messed up on? I don't know here. Here, Keen Call. I only want Keen Call to be used on Amalia. It'd be really nice if one of the conditions was specific people in your squad. Like, there was a menu down here where you could select the name of people that are presently in your squad to tell you only use Keen Call on that specific person in this squad, and then you never have to worry about anyone else using that. Because this whole highest stats thing, it wouldn't always work. It seems to work in this squad, but I swear, there are some squads where it just has not worked for me. Like this one, Sorceress Connection. I want her to use it on Ak here. So I told her, do it on the person with the lowest guard rate. And he has the lowest guard rate. He's at 7%, she's at 9%, 31%, 9%. And you can only use that on someone that's a mage anyway that can make use of that. But she counts as a mage too. And I'm fairly certain I had this set to lowest physical attack or something at some point, or lowest physical defense. I don't know what it was. Some condition that he met, like he was the lowest in my squad. And she still used Sorcerer's Connection on her. Where it's like, what? Why doesn't it work? Why is it being used on the wrong person? Like, you can set a specific type of ally to be targeted. Like, I could say, use this only on caster. I mean, this is already only going to be used on caster, but if this was something that could go to any ally, I could tell her to specifically use it on caster. And that's fine if I only have one caster type ally in the squad. But if I have multiple, considering she's a caster and he's a caster, it feels like I'm just kind of out of luck because this lowest stats or highest stats thing doesn't always seem to work. So while I did really, really like the whole being able to program your own statements and literally design the tactics of the allies that you have here at like the most fundamental level by setting the exact conditions that they do anything. While that's a really cool idea and like one of my favorite things I've seen in a tactics game in a long time, I really don't like that. What menu did I just go into there? What? Oh, I can set templates and stuff. That's cool. I never even dicked around with that. But the fact that you can only set 8 at most across a lot of conditions I'd want to set, and I can only set at most 2 conditions, and some of them don't even work, and it feels like there's conditions here that I would like being able to select specific people's names. It's a really cool idea, but it feels like they could have done it a lot better. If this game ever gets a sequel, I really hope that the next game gives you like a lot more options, more conditions, more things that I can put here, more than just 8, and more choices in here. So while there is a lot of things in here that I can set as different conditions, there's a lot more that I wanted that I didn't always have, and I had to find like creative workarounds to program them to do the things that I wanted. So it's a really cool system, but it's lacking. It was super fun. I really enjoyed it, but it's really lacking. I will definitely say. So that was really cool. the whole rapport conversation system is kind of like Fire Emblem, and I liked it. And like I was saying earlier with story stuff, it's where you get like some of the more interesting stuff going on. So I appreciated that. It is in Fire Emblem. One change here, I change as if it's the same series. One difference compared to Fire Emblem that I did really like here is in Fire Emblem, you can only be friends with someone if you have like 3 conversations with them, where it's like support level C, support level B, and support level A, and you have a conversation at each of those levels. And those are the only people that you can build up support with. In this game, you can build up all the way to level 3 support with anyone. That doesn't mean you have a conversation with everybody, like Elaine here does for everybody. Let's select some other random unit, like Sharon here. It's only going to show on the rapport menu those that I can potentially have conversations with, but everybody can get up to 3 stars with one another and get the gameplay benefits off of that, even if they don't have conversations with one another, which is really nice. Instead of Fire Emblem, where it's just like, oh, these characters, I guess I just don't have anything to talk about ever. They're never gonna get, like, any significant gameplay bonuses from pairing up with one another because they can't. Because they can literally never become closer friends because they don't want to talk. In this game, you don't have to worry about that. That's really nice. You can build up the bond and get gameplay benefits and still get conversations sometimes. And sometimes people are only going to get, like, 1 conversation with one another. Sometimes people are going to get 3. Sometimes people are going to get 2. And then you get, like, more chances for more people to talk with one another if it's not, like, either 3 or nothing. If you open up opportunities for, like, 1 or 2. I think that that's really nice. The Idealist hand mirror is really cool. I really like how there's nothing, well, apart from the unique classes that characters like the main character Elaine have. For the most part, every class in this game can be replicated by a mercenary at a fort. So, if I went to a fort, this isn't a fort. If I go to a fort here, and I recruit some random mercenary that I didn't really bother doing throughout the playthrough, if I get some hoplite and make him have the exact same growth types as one of my other hoplites, like, let's say gosh dang it, wrong menu again. Hodrick here, who's keen offensive. If I recruited a mercenary that was keen offensive, and I set that as their growth types, who was a hoplite, and I got them to his exact same level, level 33, whoops, the stats will be exactly the same. So, there's nothing that you can't really replicate in mercenaries, and you can use them as an excuse to experiment with different growth types, or get more Idealist hand mirrors to change growth types if you're not fond of them. And, like, it keeps you at that exact same level, and it handles level ups the way that Fire Emblem Warriors does. Fire Emblem games will have a percentage chance of each stat going up when you level up. Like, maybe you have a 50% chance for your HP to go up a point when you level up. A 30% chance that your strength goes up when you level up. Stuff like that. And sometimes you get, like, really good RNG, sometimes you got really bad RNG and just get bad level ups. But in Fire Emblem Warriors, and how it works in this game, your level ups are preset. They're set in stone. They're always going to be exactly the same, and they're dependent on your growth types. I really liked that. I was never going to get randomly screwed by RNG, and if I change to whatever other growth types, it's going to be the exact same as anyone else that got to that point with those growth types. And the fact that you can change their colors however you want, that's pretty cool. I did very much like that. That was pretty cool. There's a lot of really nice little things like that that just make for a much more satisfying gameplay experience, I feel like. So I quite appreciated that, I will say. What else stuff do I want to mention gameplay-wise here in terms of how any of this stuff is working? Is there any other stuff that I want to mention? I really like how units continue to remain viable throughout the game a lot of the time. Like, take the Thief class, for example, which promoted into Rogue here. At the very beginning of the game, it's like one of the best tanks that you can have because they'll just dodge everything. So it's an amazing dodge tank that you can have on the front lines. But as the game goes on, there's more and more enemies that'll start having true strikes. You're not going to be able to dodge those. You're going to get hit no matter what. And they're so dang squishy that, like, one hit and they're going to go down. But as they level up and get new skills, they start serving other purposes. Like, you can now toxic enemies. Like, you can take their passive points right from the get-go. You can blind an entire row so they're going to miss their next attacks, everyone in that row. You can steal some of their active points, and now they get less actions during that combat. Like, so the Thief class started out as an amazing dodge tank, And then later on in the game, I find that they're a much better backup dodge tank, like have them in the back row. And if you face some foes that are gonna like destroy your front row otherwise, you can switch them into the front row, and if they can dodge it, then great, that squad now comes out on top. But have them mainly focused on a support role, and that they are just not doing all that much damage to the enemies, but screwing them over in other ways that makes it difficult for them to do more damage on you. And I think that that's really cool. So the fact that the characters continue to get like different skills as they go on changes the way that you play with them and can make their classes usable in different ways that they weren't before. I thought that that was really, really cool. And yeah, my playstyle with the thieves was like something very drastically different as the game went on, and they were fantastic support units right then. I wouldn't use them as a primary dodge tank anymore. Like, I probably still could, but with True Strikes, I don't know if I'd want to rely on that. I'd rather have physical tanks that I could rely on consistently. But they were great support characters, so I really appreciated that. Anything else with like characters and stuff here? I don't know that there is. That was the main stuff. I really like how in battles you can save any time. Like, it is really strange how the Nintendo Switch version has 10 save slots, and the Xbox and PlayStation 5 version of the game apparently have 50 save slots. Like, what's up with that? That's pretty dumb. Sucks for Switch players like me. But the fact that you can save anywhere is really, really nice. If I'm playing something like a Fire Emblem game, there's no worse feeling than putting in like 2 hours to a map and then getting screwed over right at the end, and then there goes that time. It's just down the drain. It didn't contribute to anything. It's gone. But in this, considering you can save anywhere, the developers are like, yeah, as long as you can figure it out eventually with your current build, we don't have to like punish you and make you have to redo everything over, as long as you keep in mind that you should take the time to save from time to time. And I'll make like multiple saves throughout the battle and be able to reload, being like, okay, maybe this is where I started to mess up. Reload there and then start doing things slightly differently. That's really nice. And the game cares a lot more about your time than something like Fire Emblem that's just like, oh, you made all these mistakes? Well, there goes your time. All those hours just down the drain. It's gone. So I did very much like the ability to save wherever in this game, because I needed that during the final map. If I needed to do the final map in one go, I would not have been able to do it. There's no shot. So I very much appreciated that. And with the final map and with the story in general, one thing that I definitely felt in this game that I really liked is it genuinely felt, like both gameplay-wise and story-wise, like a really, really difficult battle. I feel like there's a lot of games that I'll play where it's like, oh yeah, the enemies just happen to be stronger than you. Oh, but you go out and you get like this really handy thing that'll help you beat the bad guys, and now you just have more power than them for like the entire rest of the journey, and you use that to defeat them, and easy peasy. Like, an example of that might be Legend of Zelda with, say, the Master Sword, or maybe Xenoblade Chronicles 2 when Rex unlocks the true power of the Aegis, for example, where it's like, okay, you're just more powerful than the foes now, so by the time that you eventually meet them in battle, you can defeat them. That's how it goes. Whereas with this, where you can take on the final battle whenever you want, but it's going to be a bad ending because you strike down Galerius and he's just going to take over your body as like his new host and take things over. Facing a foe like that is like, holy crap, he genuinely feels like a foe where it's like, how are allies going to overcome this? How are heroes going to overcome this? And facing him a couple times during the game and him being like some of the hardest bosses along the way really, really builds him up to be a very, very powerful foe. But I feel like it's especially impactful having played through it and gotten the bad ending once to be like, holy crap, if you strike him down, he just immediately comes back. And both gameplay-wise, where he's literally hitting your allies with Death Blow, he's got attacks where it's like, oh yeah, all your units, he's just gonna set them all to 1 HP. Sucks to suck for you. So it's stuff like that gameplay-wise. And then, is this the Interstellar theme that's playing on piano? Am I gonna get copyright claimed for that? Let's listen to Sylvalum instead, from Xenoblade Chronicles X. I can't words. So many games, it's like, you clearly have more power than them now. You're just gonna win when you face them. That's how it goes. This, even when you get the power, when you unlock the true power of the ring, it's still like, holy crap, this is gonna be a really, really, really hard battle. All the ring does is make victory a possibility. It doesn't feel like it's just handed you the key to victory. It's just like, hey, now it's not a guaranteed loss, is what it very much felt like. And my goodness, Galerius is set up with 999 HP, his crazy stats, his crazy attacks, the fact that he heals 200 HP after any time you fight him. So if you're not doing more than 200 HP every time you fight him in combat worth of damage, then you've just done nothing, because he just heals it anyway. I do wish that he didn't do that when he fought the randos that were on the field, the random NPCs, because they would screw with me as they went and fought him, and then they don't do any damage to him, and then he heals 200 HP, and it's like, come on, I put so much work into doing that damage to him. But it felt like genuinely really, really hard to do that. And then like the fact that at the end you still had the option of strike him down and presumably get the bad ending, or use the ring to emancipate his soul and presumably get like the good ending. Well, presumably we did get the good ending by doing that. The fact that when you select that, it's not just like immediate win. The fact that there's a whole new third phase that you have to take on where there's infinite reinforcements, and now the formula has been changed up. But against just Galerius on his own, you could throw multiple different squads at him, assuming they were good enough, assuming they wouldn't just immediately get wrecked by him, which was still most of my squads. But you could throw multiple squads at him. If you're doing good enough damage, getting enough hits in, you'd be able to do significant damage to him. But the fact that the true final boss forced you to use the Ring of the Maiden to not immediately die to his god attack means you can only do like one squad. The game basically expects you to start withdrawing units and just assemble one squad specifically to take him down. And this squad kicked the shit out of him. Like, my goodness gracious. Like, I was wondering how the heck I was going to be able to defeat him with one squad when it was 6 OP units. It was the new true final boss. It was the final boss I had just been done facing. Admittedly, a little bit debuffed, because if he had 999 HP and his entire kit there again, that would have been like darn near impossible. And then all 4 generals I had to fight during phase 1 that all have incredibly, incredibly strong kits. Like, I was looking at that and just like, how the heck do I even win here? So both story-wise and gameplay-wise, it genuinely felt like, how is this even possible for the heroes to come out on top here? Luckily, with the mad gamer skills and stuff, I guess, and lots of years in strategy games, I was able to figure it out. But man, that was genuinely like the most on edge I've felt about a victory in a video game in quite a while. Like, the most afeared I was about attaining victory. So it definitely really had me on the edge of my seat, and I really liked that. It's been a while since a game has made me feel like that. So I very much appreciated that gameplay-wise. Though, playing on this hardest difficulty of True Zenoiran, I don't like how you have to beat the game once to unlock it. I really wish that it was just available to play from the get-go, instead of having to beat the game on any of the other difficulties first. At least it is any of the other difficulties, so it was relatively easy for me to just switch it into story mode, and then go face the final boss early, and just get the bad ending, and then that still counts as beating the game, so I was able to unlock True Zenoiran, and then you had to take time to make up my progress again off camera to just get up to the point in this True Zenoiran file that I was at in my original file. Like, that was a little bit annoying. I could have avoided that completely and saved how many hours? How many hours do I have in my expert file? Let's see here. Roughly 40-ish. 37 is the most there. Yeah, so that was just before the final battle. I can see where I saved there. So plus a couple hours of doing the final battle. It was a 40-hour save file there that I'm just not even using anymore. So a bit annoying how you have to do that to unlock the hardest difficulty. I wish that wasn't the case, but it's I suppose it's not the worst thing ever, but I wasn't the biggest fan of that. The mining minigame is kind of fun. It's always nice when games have like some sort of grinding-y minigame that is actually genuinely kind of satisfying and a little bit fun. The treasure maps that you can get from there and then try to track down around the world, that was kind of fun. I like that. It's cool how there's an aspect of multiplayer with the Coliseum and you can face other people's squads. Stuff, that's cool. And, oh, I guess this is also where I could go for more post-game challenges, because there's, like, the new foes in the arena that I can take on and stuff now, if I want to bother doing that with, like, my super crazy squad here while I still have it built up. So, because I am going to rearrange these squads. Should I just really quickly check here how far I can get? Because, yeah, that's, Onyx Pendant. What the heck is that? Lords of Fethrith. Oh, well. Hold on, just a hot second. Because by the next time I stream, this is all gonna be, like, completely switcherooed with other stuff. Yeah, I guess I already did this stuff here. Oh, take this back off again, then. Turn that back on. The fact that you can quickly turn stuff on and off like that is really nice. So, yeah. Overall, I did really, really like this game. It wasn't perfect. Like, if I were in charge of it, there's definitely a lot of things that I would change. I'm gonna skip these battles. Like, it has more than its fair share of flaws and things that could be improved. But for the most part, this was genuinely the most fun I've had with a strategy game in a long time, and I really, really enjoyed it. And if they ever do make, like, more titles, I'll gladly pick them up. Will be the case. Like, there have definitely been a decent few games on this channel over the years where it's like, I play them because it's related to other stuff I've done on the channel before, and so I feel obligated to do this similar thing, but it feels kind of more like work sometimes and just gets kind of boring. This was a game that I was actually genuinely having fun with, like, all the time. And even playing on True Zenoiran and making up the progress that I needed to make up for after I switched from my original save file to this, I kind of had fun going through it again. I don't know if I would now that I have 140 hours in it, but in the beginning, 40 hours in, when I was still new enough to it, and it was still like a cool, new, exciting strategy game that I hadn't played before, I actually had fun making up that progress. And it was actually easier than my expert file going through up to that point, just because, like, I knew better how to play the game and what strategies to use, and to throw out my preconceptions that I had of other strategy games that I'd played up to that point. Like, it was quite the experience with this game. And there is still gonna be more to stream, since there is a little bit of post-game content. I've heard that apparently the post-game of this game isn't super long, so I can probably get through it in just 1 or 2 more streams. And then that'll wrap up all of Unicorn Overlord proper. Will be the case, so. Beat the game, the main stuff is done. I really quite enjoyed it. I'll do post-game at some point when it's available in my schedule. Kind of looking forward to seeing what the post-game is like, honestly. Because the main game was pretty darn fun. I've seen some people complain online that there's, like, little post-game content. Or that the main game is too short. But it's like, if you take your time with this game, again, I have 140 hours in this. That's probably on the higher end considering how much grinding I did, especially with the mining minigame. Especially while I was traveling down to the States, and it's like, well, I may as well make some progress in this anyway. So that is definitely on, like, the much higher end hours-wise. But still, if you take your time, this is still easily a 100+ hour game. If you're going around doing all the liberation battles and recruiting all the characters and stuff. Like, easily. So, there is a lot of content in this game if you do want to take your time with it. If you want to bum rush it, you absolutely can. And once again, I think that it's really cool that it's one of those games that you can take on the final boss at any point. But then when you do all the prerequisites and stuff, then it gets even crazier at the end, which is pretty cool. But man, Baltro scared me at the end there. His whole squad was genuinely very, very scary, I must say. Alright, skip this battle. Watch me just, like, annihilate the arena while this is all going on. I don't know if there's anything else I want to say. I'm not entirely sure. I think that pretty much sums it up. So, anyone that's a fan of, like, strategy games would highly recommend this game. Anyone who's an extremely horny male, I guess. The developers clearly made this game for you. Is there anyone else that I'd recommend this game to? I don't know. If you like strategy games, it's a fun game. Especially those that like real-time strategy games. I feel like there's not a whole lot of real-time strategy games that come out nowadays. So it's always nice to be playing some new RTS games. Always fun to be playing that rather than it being turn-based. So yeah, that was cool. Oh, that reminds me of another complaint that I had. Each map has a time limit where if you take too long, you just lose immediately. And that's done so that you can't just garrison at your forts and just regain all your health and then resume the battle from there. Like, it makes sense. Because otherwise, you'd just be able to do, like, these few encounters, heal everything, get all your stamina back, and move forward. Like, so it forces you to be decently aggressive. And it shows, like, a little bar that's going down to show how much time you have left in the map. But you never know, like, how exactly long that is. I don't know what game it is that I'm thinking of, but I know that there's games I've played before that have some sort of a time limit. And whenever you pause, you'll be able to see how much time is remaining. I think the game that I'm thinking of in the back of my mind is the first Hyrule Warriors game, where I was trying to get, like, all the golds in that game. And to do that, I needed to beat maps within a certain time. So I'd be able to pause the game, and I'd be able to see how much time is left to be able to get that medal that I wanted. So I could always check and see where I'm at, and if I need to change my strategy accordingly. With the little bar that you get at the top, you just have to eyeball it. It doesn't tell you the actual amount of seconds when you pause the game, like it definitely should have. It would have been really nice to pause the game and see how much time is left. As I started getting better and better at the game, and my squad started getting more and more OP, I stopped caring about the time limit as much because I wasn't really coming all that close to it running out of time. But in the beginning, when I was still learning in the game, I was getting pretty darn close to that time limit, and I did have a couple losses by timeouts at points. And I wasn't entirely sure how close I was getting. Like, I could see that that bar was getting close, but you just have to compare it to how close it is, and what is its pace of movement considering what you've been seeing, like, earlier in the map, if you've been paying attention to the movement of that bar. So the fact that you have to just eyeball it and guess kind of sucks. It would have been really nice to pause it, and then it tells you how many minutes and how many seconds you have left. And then you can adjust your strategy accordingly, rather than just eyeball it, make your best guess. That was a pretty dumb gameplay decision. Oh, I just remembered another complaint. The translation of this game isn't always great. There were some typos. There were definitely some places where that definitely is not how words work. Like, the translation of this game wasn't always great. Sometimes people were saying some kind of odd things. So there's another complaint there. Okay, this is the point where I'm not getting it anymore. What about my nuke? What happens if I use this squad of curiosity? Maybe I won't be able to clear the new arena. Let's see what happens. Let's see here. Oh, well, that sucks. That kind of screws up my strategy. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Okay. Yeah, I definitely lose there. Out of curiosity, let's say I was a weirdo and I did this. Because you're going to be attacking that back row. That's what you've been told to do. So let's say you're now hitting Bruno instead, and the person I need to stay alive stays alive. Unless you're going specifically after her. You are going specifically after her. Alright, well, maybe I'm not getting through the arena. Maybe not. Let's see here. Try with the Giannis squad, but, like, if you just target Prim, I'm screwed. Like I said, there's always counterplay in this game. Oh, you went after her. That's fine. That's A-okay. That one works for me. I don't know how much damage this is gonna do to you guys, but, like, not much. Yeah. So, it didn't quite work out. Just out of curiosity, if you go after Celeste in that squad, is it possible to do something really, really dumb, like just put Unify in here? Where the heck is Unify? There she is. Oh, we switcheroo them. Like, this isn't quite the setup for Unify. It's not like she's gonna care about Sorcerer's Connection, but... Ow. Triple counter. I'm not gonna be able to get a True Strike now, am I? I can always turn triple counter off. Oh yeah, Unify was set up to not be able to act first, but just be able to act like really soon. That's the way her squad was set up. I forgot. For a hot second there. Oh well. Well, maybe I'll make it through the rest of the arena before the end of this playthrough. Or maybe I won't. I don't know how important it really is. I don't know what that Onyx whatever thing is like, if that's a really, really good item that I want. Or what it might be. If I remade my Cavalier squad and brought it in here, maybe it'd be really good. I don't know. I don't know. So yeah, maybe this is as much arena stuff as I end up doing. It's currently 3:25 in the morning. I'm gonna be getting some sleep here pretty soon. Wow, you just one-shot this battle. Defeat. Yep, I am indeed. Just wrapped up my review stuff with this game. I can try for fun. Or I can try this. Can't sleep, oh no. Hopefully that's able to turn around here soon. I was about to go to bed here in a hot second. So I was going to do. Jeez. Insanity. Well, yep. This is where my arena journey ends for now. Yeah. Just for fun. Just try it out for fun. Just for the love of the sport here. Imagine I won that. But yeah. I guess like super awake now. Alright. Well, I made some arena progress there at least. Like, I will try to do the post-game. I don't know if I'll try to finish off the arena. I can look up what that one thingamabob does. That one reward gem thing. Maybe it's +2 to both AP and PP. That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, there's post-game. So I will stream this game some more in the future. Maybe it'll just be one stream. Apparently the post-game of this game isn't super long. So there might only be one stream left. Or maybe two, who knows. I'll rearrange my squads here. Maybe factor in Nigel in some way, because he's pretty darn cool. I don't know. This is my first time playing this game, so I wouldn't be able to tell you. So yeah, that pretty much wraps up most of the main stuff for Unicorn Overlord. I appreciate everybody that tuned into this series. I did have a lot of fun with this game. I'm looking forward to seeing what's going on with the post-game. We shall see here. So yeah, I'm gonna go get some sleep for now because it is currently 3:27 in the morning on the 31st of August, 2024. When did this game come out again? Was it March 10th, something like that? And it took me this long to beat the game. So it's been a hot second. It has been a hot second to beat this game. I am glad that it's beaten now and almost through off the game schedule. I can move on to playing other things. As much fun as I did have playing this. And yeah, it's time to get sleep. It's what it's about time for. So yeah, appreciate everyone who tuned into this stream / a series in general. And yeah, I'm out of here. Officially been 5 hours of streaming. Yeah, it's been a little while. It's been a bit of a hot second. Here I was thinking I could just finish this game in like 3 hours, 3 or 4 hours. And all in all, I streamed it for like 9 hours today because there was the 4-hour stream earlier. 9 hours is what it was. But it's done. It's done now. And now I can go the heck to sleep. Because that'd be good at this point. So yeah. Until next time, take care all and see ya. And yeah, I did complete the new screen. But I might make some edits to it. I might do the capture card light. And I don't know if that's a font that I'm going to keep. I'm not entirely sure. I appreciate the kind words there. Took a while to draw this. This was several weeks? Was it a month or so? On and off? I don't know. It took me a little while. Anyway, bed.